Howdy, everybody. Blunt and biased is back. Kind of. The blunt is, the biased isn't. Dr. Katie, hopefully, is going to pop on in any second. So I'm going to give her a minute or two to join and give a minute or two for others to join. For those of you that are watching the replay, you can fast forward to probably, I'll say, minute 2, and we'll get this party started. Today's topic is how not to let your body go to shit during the holidays. I'm not a big believer in focusing on weight loss during the holidays, but I absolutely don't believe you should just toss it all away and undo everything you've been working towards. So, focusing on how to maintain your weight and not start the new year heavier and behind where you should be is kind of my goal. All right, Dr. K's needing another code. Hold on. Hopefully, we fix these technical difficulties and Dr. Katie can get on here ASAP. Oh, she's coming. She's almost there.
Yay. Sorry.
Yeah, she's live.
Why was making me have all the code, like 2 different codes this time? So anyway.
It made me log in. Usually I have a new laptop, so I think maybe I had to start from scratch, which is unusual.
Yay. Hi, everybody. Excuse my tardiness. Looks like we've got 1 viewer so far.
Yay. If you want to stick your name in the comments, do it.
Yes.
Let's know who you are. So I was just chatting and wasting time until you could hop on. So I haven't officially kicked it off, but we can do that.
Yeah. Yay. Well, Theresa and I thought that this would be a good week on our Blunt and Biased podcast to talk about how to basically not lose your shit during the holidays and how to not lose all your gains that you've had this whole time, right? Both of us work with a lot of clients or patients that want weight loss. And so the holidays present like a pretty significant risk to what you've lost or your eating regimen, your workout routine and things. So we're just going to chat about that today.
Yay, love it.
Yay.
Do you want me to kick this off? Well, you kicked it off. Do you want me to start on the kind of behavioral stuff?
Yeah, let's do that.
So, and I was the same, what I was saying before Dr. Katie joined on is really, I don't know that the holidays is a great time to have aggressive weight loss goals, but weight maintenance goals make a lot of sense because you don't want to undo everything you've done, just like Dr. Katie said. So nothing particularly new and crazy, but really raising your awareness of various triggers, I think, is a good start. Understanding in the holiday season when you tend to lose control. Is it during social functions? Is it when you're stressed and overwhelmed? Is it when you are around your family? Is it when certain emotions hit? Right. So understanding what triggers this out of control behavior of kind of going to what I call the fuck it, where like, whatever, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want to. And for everybody, there's some commonality, but then there's some things that are very specific to you. And understanding your own triggers, I think, is huge because if you know that social events are a trigger, well, then you can't be surprised when you go into a social event. You need to be like prepared. I'm going to be triggered, so I need to have a plan. Mm-hmm. My family stresses me out. I have mommy issues, and so with her being there, I'm going to get triggered. Okay, know that. And step 1 is know it, be prepared for it, and have a plan in place for when you are typically triggered during the holidays. I think that's a good starting spot.
Yeah. And of course, if the way that you handle those triggers is emotionally eating, be prepared, right? So what do you advise your clients on? Would it be like have other snacks made? Don't have cookies in the house, that kind of thing, like avoid the risk at all costs? Or what do you tend to tell people?
So the one thing I would say is absolutely, like if you don't have it around you, then it's not a temptation. However, it is the holidays. And so it's not necessarily you being at your own house. And so you don't have a lot of control about what's around you. You tend to need control to keep yourself from eating what's around you. So one thing I do is I'm a big believer in a mantra. Having something that when you know you're about to be triggered, you have a statement that empowers you in that moment.
Mm.
And using that and using that helps you control the thoughts that are in your head. Because I'm going to just give an example. If you're around your family, you're around your mom's driving you crazy, and you're in your head, you're thinking, oh my God, she's driving me batshit crazy. I can't handle this anymore. You are building up your angst and you're heading yourself into the fucking moment. Where instead, if you have this mantra going, you know what? I love my mother. She's struggling with her own baggage. It's not my baggage. I'm not taking it on. And you say that instead, and you say that frequently, all of a sudden you're keeping yourself away from the ledge.
That's cool. How do you, and I think when you and I were working together, I think we made a mantra. Is there like an easy thing for people to use as like a few quick questions to come up with their own mantra?
Yeah, great question. So one, it needs to be something that helps you to feel empowered. Two, it needs to be something you can get behind. You don't want it to be like Pollyanna or falsely positive or falsely um, unrealistic. So for you, it's got to work for you, right? Like if you don't love your mother, don't add that to your mantra, right? Right. So you want it to be positive, but realistic and not Pollyanna. You want it to be empowering. You want to feel when you say that going, okay, yes, actually, that is a truth for me. I believe that. I can support that. All the mantra just stands is for a reminder of what's important to you, a reminder of what you're capable of when you're very easily losing track of that in a stressful situation.
Good. Excuse my work here. There you go.
Once you identify your triggers, I think the second thing is to have a plan food wise. There's a few things people do wrong. One, they don't eat before an event. Well, then one, you're starving and you're going to make bad decisions. Two, you've slowed down your metabolism. And so anything you do eat gets stored. You want to maintain a typical method of eating throughout the day before any event. However, recognizing if you do want to have a bit of splurging at the event, put that in your plan. At a social event, when we are in that splurge, it's generally not on protein. It's on fat and carbs. So throughout your day, if you want to choose lower carb items, if you want to choose lower fat items, so you have those macros available to you later in the day, great. But that doesn't mean you don't eat. You just change how you eat.
Okay. Yeah. And so not being starving at events when you go there, but not necessarily being hungry either. Like, especially if you're going to like a cookie party or something, don't go hungry and fill up on cookies, which would, ruin everything. Can you speak to that a little bit actually? Because as it's coming out of my mouth, I'm realizing that it might be something that's not factually founded, which is, can you ruin all of your progress in a day or in a meal? Or in like, how long does it take to really undo progress?
So it depends on what the progress is, right? So let's say you've lost 30 pounds. You're not going to gain 30 pounds in a day.
Sure.
So from that regard, no, you aren't going to undo it all. But what happens is if you struggle with binge eating, if you struggle with a sugar addiction, if you struggle with mindfulness and you break that habit, it can very much create a very slippery slope out of those behaviors because it's a little bit like addiction. And so if you're an alcoholic and you have a sip of beer, that could be a very slippery slope. Same thing as if you have a sugar addiction or if you have this weird relationship with food, all of a sudden you could re-trigger that. And in that regard, yes, you can undo months of work.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. But as far as, people's like people are always worried, like, well, I ate one Oreo, I might as well eat the whole pack because I ruined the day kind of thing.
No. Absolutely not. And that's the problem, guys. Honestly, that's my version of the fuck it. Like that, having an Oreo is not what's going to make you fat. It's not what's going to stop your weight loss progress. It's having the sleeve of Oreos that does it. And so, and it's basically calories in, calories out. An Oreo is 100 calories. You can burn that off baking cookies, just the art of stirring stuff. You could burn off that Oreo, but a sleeve of Oreos is 1,000 calories. That is not nearly as easy to burn off. So if you allow yourself, which comes to my next point, don't restrict in the fact that don't don't enter any situation from a position of I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Go into every situation from a position of I can do whatever the hell I want to. Does it serve me?
Mm.
Right? If we go in thinking I can't, we want. The moment there's restriction, we want. And that's how the sleeve of Oreos happens.
I can't have this. Like
Right.
Theresa says, I can't. So I'm going to hate Theresa and try not to think about this cookie.
Right. And then it's like the pink elephant. What do you think about the cookie?
Uh-huh.
And then when you finally give in, that's when the fuck it's coming. All of a sudden you eat all the cookies. Whereas instead, if you go in and you're like, no, you know what? I'm going to enjoy whatever's worth it to me. I'm going to enjoy whatever I will actually enjoy, right?
Mm.
There's times I'll walk in someplace and I feel almost like a compulsion to eat stuff knowing I don't even like that.
Yeah.
Why do I want it? And it's because I have this thing of I can't.
Fruitcake.
Deviled eggs. I do love deviled eggs,
I do too.
but eggs kill me. Like they kill me for weeks. If I have an egg, I'm done for weeks. So all of a sudden, I'll screw it up and I'll have our deviled egg. I don't really love it that much. I just don't. I haven't had a deviled egg in like 10 years. So when I do, I'm like, oh, it's not as good as I remember.
Yeah.
And so I just ruined everything for what? So take out the I can'ts, put yourself in a place of empowerment. You absolutely can. It's your choice. And if you choose not to, it's your choice. You can, you're choosing not to. And then feel good about the choice, whatever the choice is.
Right. It should be up to you. This is the whole reason that Theresa and I do what we do, is so that we can empower you with knowledge of what's best for you. You know what foods work for you, which foods don't, what foods help you reach your goals, what amounts, things like that. And so it's not so much that we're the ones telling you, hey, don't do this or else, right? It's for you. You reached out to us for a reason. And so keep serving yourself. You know, it's not just like, oh, well, I'm restricted. I'm choosing this for me. You know, it should be an empowering thing.
Yeah. And to one more thing of your point is don't go to an event starving, but I wouldn't even go to an event hungry. And this is a great time to have a smoothie. A smoothie tends to be a lower calorie, lower carb based on what you put in it, lower fat, something that's easy to get down, fast. It's not taking a lot of time, and yet also enjoyable, right? Like if you enjoy a chocolate banana peanut butter smoothie, woohoo, right? Like but you want to be enjoying whatever you're eating. And then that will keep you somewhat from going apeshit at a social event because you're not walking into it starving. But you're also you're not stuffed. You don't want to go stuffed either because you're going to trigger a whole bunch of other stuff. Just don't be starving.
And yeah, just like you said, eat something that you enjoy. This doesn't need to be anytime that you work with a nutritionist, a dietitian, a naturopathic doctor, your life shouldn't be miserable. Right. Keep enjoying things. That's not the goal, not sustainable.
Yeah. All right, cool. Your turn. What do you got?
Okay, my turn. Well, I think it's a good kind of tie-in to what you've been talking about, because for a lot of people, and I'm sure that you've seen this too, you primarily, if not like one of the foundational pillars of your work, is people's relationship with food. And in my work, I sometimes touch on that, but something that's been kind of an accidental bonus in one of the methods that I use for weight loss now is it's been healing people's relationships with food. People are starting to look at food as fuel. So for me personally, as a doctor, I always thought, okay, I really should look a certain weight, especially if I'm going to help people lose weight. Like, who's going to trust me to help them lose weight if I'm not of a certain weight? That's something you and I worked on / through. But also, I was trying not to think about food, right? That's the elephant in the room, trying not to thinking about, am I thinking about food? And planning and like getting excited about what I was going to have. And that's fine. Like being excited about food's cool. But since using semaglutide myself and being able to prescribe that for other patients, with people's decrease in appetite and decrease in their cravings and feeling full, genuinely full after a certain normal amount of food or a good healthy portion of food, people have gotten their lives back, sort of. It's so just kind of to back up too, it's really semaglutide super popular right now. I can't remember if it was like a Kardashian that made it popular at first or what happened. And there's some issue with how whether you're able to acquire it through your standard pharmacy, because there's a shortage now for people that are actually in need of it. The pharmaceutical names are Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy. I think those are the primary three. And so some of those there is a shortage on, but I call it in through a compounding pharmacy, so not contributing to that shortage, which is good for the people that actually need it. And there's only a few reasons why you can't start on this once a week injectable peptide that helps with your appetite and helps with your cravings from a healing place. And so I'll explain that in a second. But the reasons that you can't do that is if you have a personal or family history of thyroid tumors, not necessarily thyroid disease, but thyroid tumors, if you have kidney disease, or if you have low blood sugar. Of course, we don't want to lower your average blood sugar over time if you already have low blood sugar. But the way that semaglutide works is it is correcting insulin resistance. Insulin is what your body puts out every time you eat glucose. We're supposed to have glucose get into the cells using insulin so that our bodies can operate, because our bodies, specifically our brains, usually, unless you're keto, is functioning off of glucose. When you have insulin resistance, when you're still eating glucose, your body's not producing as much insulin as it's supposed to. And so what happens is your glucose remains in your bloodstream, which causes all sorts of issues. But that's what pre-diabetic or diabetics are, is too much blood sugar or glucose in the bloodstream. And so from those problems, you have kidney disease, right? So we can't have you already be in kidney disease. You can go blind eventually. And then in really severe cases, of course, ulceration and necrosis from lack of blood flow, your fingertips and toes and feet and extremities will literally die. The flesh will literally die, which is horrible. And we don't tend to see that a whole lot in America usually. So with semaglutide, with correcting insulin resistance, that means that it's really helpful for people that are pre-diabetic or diabetic, but also people that are trending towards that. So something called your hemoglobin A1C, or some people just abbreviate it your A1C. This is your average blood sugar over 3 months, and not every doctor's drawing it. So if you're somebody who's seen your primary care recently and they haven't drawn your A1C, consider asking them for it to see whether you're trending towards pre-diabetic or not. Anything at 5.7 or up until 6 or 6.2 is where diabetes begins. So if you're at 5.5 or 5.6, I don't need you to wait to have the problem of being pre-diabetic. There's no reason to wait for that. But that's the only way that you're going to get insurance coverage, and even still, sometimes you won't get insurance coverage. So for those people that are wanting to do preventative medicine, that's where I come in. So we can prescribe you semaglutide once a week injection. Your doses increase over time. And there have been some side effects, mostly GI related, but usually only if you're increasing too fast, or if just for some reason your body tends to produce more reflux naturally, or if you already had diarrhea or constipation, you might experience those with semaglutide, but not necessarily. For some people, it's actually fixed the problem. So I love semaglutide. It's been awesome so far in my personal journey, in my boyfriend's personal journey. And most of my patients have really tolerated it well. I think I've only maybe had one person who just couldn't get over the reflux, and they ended up like throwing up one time, which was bad. And I was like, all right, like it just doesn't seem like it works for you. This is also because it's doing that, and it's helping your hormones, leptin and ghrelin, communicate better when you're actually, these are your I'm hungry, I'm full hormones. It's correcting the way that those communicate too. So that's how, as your food is, the digestion of your food in your stomach is slowed, you have more time to actually feel full. And when that happens, you get used to eating smaller and smaller portions. So over time, your stomach shrinks. So in summary, the way that this peptide works is through correcting insulin resistance, helping your hormones communicate better, and shrinking your stomach over time. So the big question for everybody has been, do you gain your weight back when you're done? And the answer is no. You can be on this for a while. Now, you will gain your weight back if you go back to eating a sleeve of Oreos every day. You will indeed slowly but surely gain your weight back. Absolutely. But it's not this HCG diet where you're at 300 calories a day and then you completely balloon up and gain even more weight than you initially were at from the beginning of when you even started. So it's really, I mean, you know, without sounding ignorant, it's like the closest thing to like a magic fix for a lot of people, which is I think why it's so popular. It's helping people feel like they have control over their food again.
Awesome. So just to give a little bit of extra background, so Ozempic is the prescription that's specific for those that struggle with like diabetes, and then Wegovy is one that is specific to those that struggle with obesity. I don't know the third one.
Mounjaro or Mounjaro, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's the same.
Yeah. So Wegovy was approved by the FDA about a year ago. So these are widely approved, which is why they're also covered by insurance. But to Dr. Katie's point, right, like there is a shortage of them. And in the Western medicine side, you do need to be hitting a variety of markers before they'll prescribe it to you.
Yep.
And so if it's something you are interested in, I would definitely contact Dr. Katie because it is a nice assistance, and definitely, right, ask all your normal questions about it so she can fully make sure you're aware of the pros, the cons, the everything before you get started, so you can make that educated decision on getting that assistance. It's nice to not feel obsessed with food when that's something you struggle with, right, on a day-to-day basis. And you know, just like everything, it also helps you raise your self-awareness. When you're not obsessed with the food, you get to really focus on the behavioral side. You get to focus on the mental side with a little bit more ease. It also raises your awareness on your digestion, right? Like it does have side effects for some. And so it's okay. Like everybody has, I'm super sensitive to everything. So I'm somebody where I just keep my awareness up. Worst comes to worst, I try it, doesn't work, and I stop, but at least I tried it. Right. And so it's one of those things where I think it's just it's interesting, just like all of a sudden this little magic pill has popped up.
Yeah. And we've always wanted that, right? Everyone's like, I want the magic fix. I want the magic pill. And it is, of course, like I've said, it comes with its side effects. It comes with its, contraindications. Like there are reasons you can't do it. But as far as causing long-term damage or long-term effects, right? It's not the same thing as fen-phen or phentermine, which some doctors are still giving their patients. I found out about another doctor who had recommended fen-phen to their patient. And I was like, is that still around? That causes long-term issues with your heart. Semaglutide does not have anything like that. There's no damage that's being done. It's the most like healing of all things that help you lose weight that I've come across.
Yeah. And so because it was only approved last year, how long has it truly been out? Because I guess for someone like me, I think I'd be concerned just like it's so new, like just like the COVID shot. People were like, like, I'm gonna wait, right? Don't know much about it. It's new, that kind of thing. And I'm not gonna lie, I got the shot, but I was of that camp of I'm gonna wait. Like, first of all, I'm gonna be very clear, guys. At least in my opinion, Dr. Katie might disagree, but this isn't something for somebody who has their last 5 or 10 pounds to lose. Like, I just don't like. You let your body do what your body does, right?
Yeah, this is for something if somebody's tried pretty much everything else. Sometimes that 5 or 10 pounds is inflammation. Sometimes it's a food sensitivity problem. Sometimes it's not fat at all. And so this isn't indicated for that. This is for people that have upwards of 15 probably or more pounds to lose and that have tried everything. People that have tons of stress in their life or have chronic diseases or, yes, like poor relationships with food, but not to the point where that's all that you've done is try one diet one time for a week. There are lots of other things that can be done. And this is an okay place to start. It certainly can help boost your confidence and your self-esteem to help you feel capable. And for people that can't exercise because of physical pain, because of how much they weigh, this would be indicated for them too. But yeah, it's not a cure-all. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. Just from a safety perspective, right? Like this is, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything besides semaglutide from a supplement perspective? We've talked about this before, but I think it's good to repeat because we've been doing this for about a year now. But like from a craving perspective, a sugar perspective, from anything like that, supplement wise, any suggestions?
There are a few that I can think of. So one is magnesium. It's amazing, specifically for sugar cravings. There's tons of forms of magnesium out there, so be careful. In general, most forms of magnesium, especially like magnesium glycinate or bisglycinate, magnesium oxide is also helpful, magnesium citrate, there's tons out there, but taking a few caps of magnesium, which, by the way, pretty much everybody should be doing. That's not specific medical advice, but we are all very deplete of magnesium and we need it for basically everything. Can help with sugar cravings. Also helping balance blood sugar and help with cravings is something called chromium. And there are all sorts of obviously labeled supports for blood sugar and for cravings. And not all of them work. And it is sometimes a trial and error. And you should always ask your provider which ones are safe, third-party tested, medical grade stuff, so that you know which brands are okay and safe to and actually contain what they say they contain, right? And then kind of the third thing that I can think of is it's a really funny herb. It's called gymnema. And Gymnema sylvestre, they have it in a few different forms. You can take it in kind of a combo cap with some of the other things that I mentioned before that help, again, with balanced blood sugar. But in a tincture form or the liquid form, you put drops on your tongue and it changes your taste buds so that when you eat something sweet, it tastes sour or bland, in fact, is mostly the effect that people have. So it's kind of like a Pavlovian classical conditioning kind of thing. You put a few drops on your tongue before you take a bite of cake, and then you're like, oh, it doesn't taste good. And you train yourself. But then like, well, it's not tasting good because I tricked my taste buds, right? So it works for some people, not for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool though. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
I like that. Can you get that at any supplement store?
I think it's even at places like Sprouts.
Okay. You have to if you can, throw it in the chat what the name of that one is. And the chromium, as in chromium picolinate?
Yes.
Okay. That's been out on the market for a long time. So people may be familiar with that, maybe not. So maybe put all of those in there, the magnesium, the picolinate, or the chromium, and the last one.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Some things to just also consider, guys, like right now I'm having a cup of hot tea. I'm cold, but throughout the holidays, right, when cravings are higher, when this desire to eat is higher, having that hand to mouth movement is comforting. Make it something that's not food related. So keep some tea nearby, keep some flavored something or other nearby, right? Lemon water, whatever, and allow that hand to mouth motion if you're feeling that need, but do it in a way that's not going to backtrack your goals.
Really good.
Yeah. And add movement. Add movement.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Calories in, calories out are part of the equation for sure with weight loss. It's not all of it, but it is a big part of it. And so calories out come mostly from your basal metabolic rate, which is just what your body does naturally to survive. But your control piece of it is how much you move. And so even if you're adding 30 minutes in a day, get it in, make it a priority, make you a priority. And I think that's the most important part of health always is make you a priority. And so even if it is just that 30 minutes, every single day, get your movement in. It's good for the mind. It's good for the body. It's good for the metabolism. And it is good for the cravings. And it's just another way to help your body get through the holiday season with very little regret, very little change. And it doesn't backtrack you before you kick off the new year.
Holidays should be amazing and fun and joyous and filled with yummy things and love and all the things, but it's not a special time more than any, kind of in the way people use New Year's as resolutions. You can make resolutions at any time. You can change your life at any time. Don't let the magic of Christmas mean that you should care about yourself and your goals less.
Amen.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks for your contributions, Theresa. I always love what all of your tips and everything. It's where I feel We thought we would disagree more or something, which is why we called it Blunt and Biased, and we always disagree.
Yeah, we do. We do, which is, it's kind of cool though, right? You got two people in separate forms of healthcare, and yet we agree a lot. I love to talk about that mindset side, and I love all the supplement guidance, and in this case, also prescription guidance. So don't forget, guys, if you're interested in that semaglutide, reach out to Dr. Katie because she can educate it on you, and she also has access to it where others may not.
Yeah.
Yay! All right, well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you after the new year.
Crazy.
I know. Bye, everybody.
Bye.